Hello, everyone. My name is Victor Mayer. I'm a student of psychology from Colorado Christian University. This is my final paper on human sexuality, and the topic is the sexual revolution and premarital sexual permissiveness in America. Human sexuality is as old as humanity. As a creationist, I believe that human sexuality was created and designed by God from the very day He made us male and female. He created us as humans. Human sexuality is also something different from animal sexuality. Why? Because it is non-intuitive. It's decent. It is a responsible act. Today, human sexuality is actually a complex story, an art and science of the way we feel, think, and act regarding sex. Whatever we think about sex and however we feel about sex is the expression of our sexuality. It is influenced by culture, by religion, by belief, and by family. Carol, in her book Introduction to Human Sexuality, defined it this way: a general term for the feelings and beliefs of humans, behavior of humans concerning sex. That's found in page 4 to 2013. And we all see that God created us male and female in Genesis chapter 1 verse 27 and Genesis chapter 5 verse 2. So today, human sexuality is being redefined in America. Just like marriage is being redefined as no longer between a man and a woman, but between two persons. So human sexuality is also at a crossroad, also being redefined by the American people and American culture. And the world at large, not just America. And this is the reason why premarital sexual permissiveness is at an alarming state in this country today and the world. What are the reasons? What are the factors that brought us to this level? That's part of what we're going to find out. How did the sexual revolution of the 60s and 70s contribute to the social malady that we have today? Unhealthy sexuality is a total distortion and it's antithetical to the original purpose of sexuality as designed and created by God for the purpose of procreation, marriage, and intimacy. Statement of problem: there is an alarming rate of premarital sexual permissiveness in America, in our culture and society today. The purpose of this study is to review literature review of peer-reviewed researches on sexual revolution and premarital permissiveness in America. Historical perspectives of sexual permissiveness in America. When the New World was created or discovered in 1492 by Christopher Columbus, the Puritans came with the Bible and with a healthy attitude to sexuality. But all that changed with the American Revolution of 1775 to 1783. Why and how? The American Revolution brought about a paradigm shift with a paradigm shift in sexual behavior with the emergence of liberalization, the influx of slaves from Africa, and the dwindling influence and role of the Puritans of the church. There was also the free love movement, which made people, Americans, to know that love is what precedes sexual relations and not marriage. Then we also had the close of the 19th century. We saw the advent of the medical model of sexuality and the craze for sexual health, sexual restraint, and abstinence from masturbation. We also saw the Comstock Act of 1873, which clamored for the return of religious and chaste morality. But that was reversed in 1965 by the U.S. Supreme Court. And then we also saw the various researches and scientific advancement in sexuality the sexualization of the media, the sexualization of every fashion. That's why you see ladies almost going naked on the streets, nude. And then also the preference for liberal ideas and values of sexuality as different from what we know it should be. The culmination of all these events, the discovery of pornography, the discovery of antibiotics, and the publication of the Playboy magazine by the Chicago and Hugh Hefner, and the introduction of contraceptives and birth control pills, all set the stage for what is today known as the sexual revolution of the 60s and the 70s. Carol wrote in her book that of all, I quote, of all researchers, Alfred Kinsey was probably the most influential sex researchers of the 20th century. He was the first to take the study of sexuality away from the medical model. Page 16 of her book, published in 2013. Then Wikipedia also made us understand that these changes to sexual attitudes and behavior during this period is today referred to as sexual revolution. Brown, in her journal article, wrote a journal article titled Premarital Sexual Permissiveness Among Black Adolescent Females, wrote that, I quote, the 1960s and 70s were landmark years for what has become known as the sexual revolution, producing dramatic changes in the sexuality of American youth. So sexual revolution is produce a dramatic, dynamic, and radical change in sexual behavior among Americans. What are the consequences of the sexual revolution? Number one, we find that we find all sorts of lies has been peddled about sexuality today, all sorts of distortions and lies about sexuality. And so we also find that, we can change, we hear that we can change our sexuality or sexual orientation or gender, that we are born asexual and homosexual, and neither homosexual or heterosexual, that children's sex is determined by either parents or children themselves, that sex is different from procreation, that we shouldn't marry for sex, and that we don't need to worry about how we dress, and that good sex is not just a marriage. Acceptance of sex as a traditional heterosexual monogamous relationships in marriage, normalization of contraception and public nudity, pornography, homosexuality, premarital sex, any other form of sex, and the legalization of abortion and abortion on demand, high pregnancy rates among single women, fatherless children, single parenthood, and same-sex marriage. In 1965, sex without procreation became a norm, and contraceptives became legal for married women. In 1972, it became legal for unmarried women. And in 1973, the APA, which is the American Psychological Association, removed homosexuality from the Diagnostics and the Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, also known as the DSM. In 2014, I saw and witnessed something that really shook me, and that was the over youths, boys and girls, men and women, over 2,000 marching the street of Chicago, naked, stark naked. And then we also have, based on our case studies, we also find out that the church has a prominent role, like it has had from the beginning of creation. But today we are lacking in that role. And the reason is that the church is a place for everybody. But the truth must be exposed in love, because the Bible makes us understand that in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 5. So the failure of the church in standing for the truth is the evidence of premarital sexual permissiveness. So what do we do? It is important to know that nothing would be significantly effective in inhibiting or stopping premarital sexual permissiveness except we make it an intentional act of service to obey God. And that means we must return back to God. We must run back to God, and we must enjoy sex in accordance with the instruction of the creator of human sexuality. Sexuality is within the boundaries of marriage. And the church must rise to her responsibility to speak the truth in love as God's watchman for the people. My references from Arthur K., The Truth About Sex, Brown S.V., Premarital Sexual Permissiveness Among Black Adolescent Females, Carol, Introduction to Human Sexuality, DiscoveryHealth.com, about Alfred C. Kinsey and his contributions to American sexuality, Reeves, Premarital Sexual Permissiveness Among Negroes and Whites, The Winner, Real Sex, The Naked Truth About Chastity, and Wikipedia. Thank you.